This is our recently acquired macro scanner that we added to our portfolio of 3D scanners that we rent. This is a scanner that is especially for small objects starting at a size of cubic, let's say dimensions from a bit below 1 centimeter to up, let's say, to maximum 10 centimeters or even a little less maybe. The advantage of that scanner is that it will capture much better small details, surface details, compared to scanners that were made to scan industrial parts in bigger size. So the scanner is especially for jewelry scanning. You can use it for scanning dental objects, but as well you can 3D scan miniatures, figures for games and other stuff. So in the end of this video you will know how to use it and how to create scans with that scanner. Take a look. So this is the software when you open it up. Just don't forget to plug in the scanner first. If you don't plug in the scanner before you start the software, you will receive some strange kind of an error message that tells you that you have to plug in a dongle, and you would expect some USB stick dongle, but it's not like that. The dongle is some integrated part of the scanner, so if you plug in the USB from the scanner, you are fine. So the very first thing you will have to do when you start a scanner is to calibrate it, and therefore there is that calibration board included that has only one possible position to mount it on the turntable, and you don't have to fix it. It's fixed over magnets, so nothing to regard. For the first calibration, normally you don't have to adjust the brightness. You can, but if you will do, you can overbright the image as well, so start somewhere where the brightness seems to be reasonable for you, and that's fine. And just click here the calibration field button, and everything else will be performed more or less automatically. Here you have to stay with the selection that's standard. It's 5mm. It is referring on that calibration board, and this is just the 5mm board available for the scanner. So in several steps the calibration is done automatically. This is not very problematic because you have a 2-axis turntable, so it is not comparable to what you know from other structured light scanners that are for bigger scale scanning, and that's why it's quite comfortable. So nothing to do for you, just watch and wait. Afterwards you get some accuracy value here and some extreme value. What is not exactly explained what it means, but the values are fine as you have no influence on them, and the calibration is performed automatically. You are absolutely fine right now. Okay, so take off the calibration board and put on your item that you want to scan. That item shouldn't be much bigger than for example 5 or 6 centimeters as cubic dimension maximums. So you have 2 possible clampings that are standard. This is like some standard for clamping over a screw, and there is another one that seems to be coming more from what you know maybe from as well dental scanners. There is different fields for fixing items. You can scan more items here in the same time. I think there will be some 10 centimeters or so maximum scan area for this, but I recommend something, let's say maximum size of the objects a bit smaller, like 8 centimeters in maximum dimensions. So all of them having the same plate for the magnet fixing on the back side, so you are not able to do something wrong here. 3 pins that are regarding their position defined well, and on this kind of the table you use some plastiline, and that plastiline you put below the object, and then you can stick the object on the plastiline and make sure that it's pressed well, so it will withstand the acceleration and scanning over that 2-axis turntable. So for the start and the explanation, I'm doing some quite standard scan. It will be a coin scan. For the coin scanner, that clamping is quite well. I just clamp it in some depth that I have a secure fixation, and that I have anyway not too much of the object hidden in that clamping. I can fine adjust the brightness level. Here it's like in most of the other systems to that overbright areas that are, let's say, blurring, are turning red in the preview of the cameras, and you can as well look at both cameras, so they are fine, they are not having any differences. So I just recommend in that preview to have some not too bright setup. That means you should see at maximum in some very small area something red. Of course, if you are opting for a setup in the case of a black object, you will not see anything. So try to turn up the brightness level till you see the first blurred out red areas, and afterwards you go back to the point where all of them disappeared. So you should be fine from the exposure side. And afterwards you can start the scan by first defining the name of the scan. You always have to do it in this direction. The software is not very, let's say, flexible regarding different ways to start scans or vary in the procedures actually. So first define your object name, let's name it coin, and I say HD scan, it means higher resolution. I will start with all the other things in standard. That should be fine for most of the scans actually. And you will receive a pre-scan that shows you the first view, and in this pre-scan you can define the area of your scan field that should be regarded. So if you would not change anything and click the OK button, you will scan as well the clamping, what is actually not what you want to see in that case. So I'm going to go to a point where all the clamping is below that cutting area, but don't cut too much. If you are going too much to the upper position, just a very small scanning area will be regarded, and there will be missing a lot of information, and you will maybe not be able to complete the scan. So just cut as much away, or keep it in this case below that area what it's the same that you have most of the object above its clamping area. And afterwards this is done, you confirm the scan, and the rest of it will be done totally automatically. So after the first set of scans is done, they are automatically grouped. This means that they are registered against each other, and you see here the first not filtered version of your scan, what is absolutely fine. If you wish, you could cut away some areas by just pressing the left mouse button, keep it down, and then you can sketch up some area of your mesh that you don't like, for example. And you can as well reverse. That means go in the opposite direction mathematically. That means everything that was selected will be unselected and the opposite. Of course, we can go back because I just don't want it. I can delete my selection, but as well I can delete here that waste is not referring on the whole scan. I can delete that selected area, and in this case it's very small. I just cut away here a piece of an edge. Wasn't necessary, but it's possible to do it. And to show you the possibilities that you have in this point for the mesh edition, no further need to do it. I just will have to change the clamping position to be able to scan what was hidden in the clamping, and I'm going to turn that coin 90 degrees more or less. If this is done, start the scan again, and there will be automatically performed another group of scans. Each group of the scans will contain of different scan position and different pictures, and all the pictures will be aligned together for creating a more complete surface of your object. Unfortunately, there is no model tree or no history tree in this software where you can just delete single scans in that let's say performed automatic sequence of scans. So if there is one really bad scan and the rest is fine, you are not able to delete that just only one scan. You can just delete one group. That means one new fixture position of your scan, but you cannot inside this group delete single scans. As well, there is unfortunately no visible overview about the amount of groups that you already created. So same again, finished one group, just last time coin will be turned. I just do it a third time, not because that information wouldn't be complete. I just want to have all, or let's say not all, I want to have more quality in the different angles for that, let's say, different small areas. That means if you have edges in different direction, it is always good if you enter into this edge from one of your clamping positions fine. And to be sure, I just made a third clamping position and restart the scan process for the next group of scans. So in this case, I'm not going to click on the scan button again because it will create a new group like before I will finish the scan process by adapting the checkbox, and I will be automatically be forwarded to the alignment process, in which I can align the different groups that I created to be, let's say, together one complete model. And I see here all of them. I just want to select one of them, and I can select a second of them, and they will be automatically, let's say the two ones that I selected will be automatically shown on the two sides of the screen for aligning both of that groups together to create a closed volume. I just, for helping myself, orientating the coins into some direction where they are in similar positions, so I can orientate myself easily. It's in this coin absolutely not necessary, because you have a lot of clear features where they are, but in other objects it might be very useful to do so. So in this case I'm just going to select 3 points that are, let's say, referring to each other. Okay, I just already started to select one point that it's not, let's say, scanned in the other group, so I don't have a possibility to align these two positions because it's just available in one. So I can, let's say in this case, can go here on the right side, undo point select, and the selected point will disappear. As if I have selected more of them and they are wrong, I can go here and refresh and all of them will be gone. So let's start again. I just search for 3 points that are in both views visible and that I can use for aligning. And I always do start on the right side. You can start on the left, it doesn't matter, and click the equivalent point on the left side. And I choose points that are easy to identify in some edge, or let's say some area where there is some feature that is easy to, let's say, to find. And I'm using points that are far away from each other. That gives me some better orientation quality. It's like a table where its feet are, let's say, further away from each other. The stability of the table will be better, as if you have 3 feet below your table that are very close to each other, so stability will be not so fine. After selecting 3 correspondent points, I can go here on that align button to orientate them against each other. So in this moment you still have the 2 scans that you are aligning, let's say, marked by color. Right now the scheme is changing, and the only colored group, not scans, sorry, the only colored group is the one that isn't aligned to the other 2. So it's to be selected this one that is colorful, and on the left side you already see the 2 scans aligned, scan groups aligned that you did before. And I repeat the same process using 3 points. You just have to select them with the left mouse button, no special shortcuts or so, and do it on both sides. In this software it can happen that you will, in the second alignment, select points and they will have different colors. For example, normally the corresponding points have always the same color. It should be like that. If it's not like that and you kept surely them in the same area and you did it like I showed you, one side and then the other side, one side and then the other side, and don't mix it up, you can be fine. It will be no problem. It will align as well. So let's align this group, and as we have just 3 groups, we are done. Afterwards, if there would be more groups, there would be more group buttons below them, and there would be in color marked which of them are not aligned to the, let's say, groups that are aligned to each other already. So it's easy. So after you are finished, you can you can complete here over that button, and you will be forwarded to the merging. And if you, let's say, are not satisfied with your alignment, it is possible to go back over unaligned scans, or you can as well refresh your view if you didn't define the points, and you will be going back the step before. But in this case, everything's fine. I have the buttons that have no functions. They have them gray. I can click on them with the left mouse button, nothing will happen. So everything's easy. I can here as well jump back to the process before if I don't want to continue align, but I'm fine with alignment, and we are done. And we are right now in our preview before the merging and the global registration process. So I see here that I have a small error in the alignment in the wings, for example, and in this case I can go back. I will have to, of course, do that process again, but just to show you that it's possible, because I think the software is very, let's say, easy to overview, because there is not so much buttons, but the navigation inside the software is, if you are never used it, a bit let's say unintuitive. So we went back, so we are selecting 3 points. That are in the same area. So this time these 2 wings should be fine in this case. I'm just going to select my 3rd scan. Nothing new. Just click on a line. Finish the process, and right now the wings are aligning better, so everything's fine. Just keep in mind, if you complete here, you will have no possibility to go back into the alignment process. What I think is a bit of pity, because you might want to, let's say, go back and check how the result looks with additional scanning groups, and just starting with the minimum of effort in scans, and then just on demand continue to make new groups. So this is, let's say, in this point, a process that is not revertible. Okay. We are in this moment waiting for the merging and global registration process. This was started already by automatic process when I was clicking on finish, and there is that let's say toolbars where I can adjust filters and different variations of the settings. And here we are with the result. This is the result that we received by the current parameter setup. I think this is quite a decent result if you take in consideration that as well that writings on that coin isn't at least perfect on the original one. You see that there is still, from the spraying, there is some let's say, kind of the surface noise, and you can use here smoothen or denoising, edge denoising if it's necessary. It doesn't look like edge noise. If edge noise is the case, you will have some kind of the let's say artifacts on the edges. Here you can see small dots that seems from the matrix. Actually, neither from the camera. I think it's more from the projector side. But to get rid of it, you can just try to smoothen the surface a little bit. I will use edge denoising. I'm not sure if this will bring a benefit here, if it's really worth the pain. Maybe not. I think I will maybe as well create less sharp edges. You can of course as well decimate the mesh size. It means you can make it smaller. I normally use different software for this process that I like better regarding that algorithms, but of course you can do it here, it's no problem. You can reduce the quality if your mesh is too dense in your opinion and all of that, but it will be fine so far. So we continue. And after wrapping is done, how I call it here, or I say merging, you are as well capable to save that files. Actually, they are saved automatically after each revision that you do in the settings, and you can open them here. You can see here that the file size decreased. That was when I was turning the decimation up to 50%, 56%. So you see that is equivalent more or less to the size that it takes for that STL file afterwards. So nothing, let's say, more to say regarding the settings side. There is not so much things that you can do. There is, let's say, some denoising and so on that you can afterwards apply if you want after finishing the scan. There is the possibility to post-process the mesh manually. That means not just apply filters, as well go here and with different kind of tools that are in most of the cases known by other softwares. For example, paint selection. That means that you are able to select some area like you know it. Then there is a possibility with the polyline selection. Just a moment, it was just clicking on the areas that you want to select, and there will be on the mesh side will be created a polyline. That's one possible way to select. Circle selection. For some reason it wasn't working before. That's paint selection. I can here with the parameter, as well with the up and down buttons on your keyboard, change the size of the brush. So nothing really special. You can as well unbrush the areas that you already used. You can select components if there is many of them, mesh components, select through, and select visible. If you say select visible, there will be just selected the side of the mesh that you're looking at. But of course you have to select and not unselect. And you see the back side is not selected. If you are selecting through, in that case that it's working properly, you select through the mesh, through all the instances of the mesh. So that's possible as well. I can as well unselect everything at once, and I can as well select something and reverse selection. That means everything that wasn't selected is selected now, and vice versa. You can measure from one point to the other point on your mesh, and this with the right button you can undo the last selection. So right mouse button will unselect, and you will receive coordinates above here. Actually, I didn't use it too much. I have a fills holes command. That means that I'm able to fill areas that wasn't closed. Just this is the measurement between 2 points. If you select it here, you get a distance dimension, and as well you are able to make a let's say perpendicular distance to some area, but that's not for me in this case so important. Nothing really special. Everything is quite easy to understand and easy to use. So I think that's fine so far. Just for explaining the other fixation that I showed you before. In this case you are, let's say, using a plastilin that's a bit similar to a chewing gum, but please don't use chewing gum, it will be hard to remove. And you are let's say sticking your object inside. It should be too dusty. If it will be dusty, it will not stick. You can just put it in its place like it is with that other fixation done. Just make sure that the 3 holes are orientated like they should, and you could start a new scan. Let's name it like doggy, and it would work fine for this kind of the object because it's not too heavy. Here you can see what happens if you are not setting up the brightness well. There is, let's say, a lot of missing information in that part where the dog is black. So I can still go up here in the brightness level of the cameras, and I can still, let's say, adjust that plane, cutting plane like before, and afterwards that's done, everything is like in that scanning process with that different fixture for the coin. I can as well, meanwhile I'm scanning, I can just tune and change that setting for the brightness level to, let's say, get it adjusted, the scan process meanwhile, and basically that's it. So all the other processes are like it was shown with the coin, and you can use the jewelry scanner right now and have all the knowledge that you will need for standard objects.